Welcome back, everybody. We're on to the 2000s. My top 10 favorite horror movies from the 2000s. Now, I do have to say, I think this is going to be the end. I did the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and now I'm going to do the 2000s. I want to do the 2010s and, of course, the 2020s, but I'm going to let it marinate a little bit more. I'm going to come back for the 2000, from 2010 to 2019, I want to let that marinate a little bit. And then so far, we've had 5+ solid years of horror movies in the 2020s, but I want to let that marinate a little bit. I'm just gonna stick with these 4 decades for now, and then I'm gonna come back at a later date and give you the top 10 for that. I don't know, maybe I will possibly include some movies from that time period that I haven't been including from certain franchises. I'm not sure yet. I want to maybe stay true to my word throughout all of it. So, but like I said, this top 10 horror movies of the 2000s, with not including the big franchises. So, like I said, we've just got 10 movies here in a randomized order. Some of them I think it's going to be, if you've been watching me for any length of time, I think a couple of these might be pretty obvious, and a couple of them might be, all right, little different, because the 2000s isn't the strongest period, but it does have some pretty damn good movies if you really, really look into it. So I'm going to start off my top 10. I'm going to start off with number 10 being Final Destination, the original Final Destination from the year 2000. I think it was March of 2000. We got Final Destination right there behind me. You know what I mean? Final Destination is a pretty solid franchise. There's 6 pretty good movies in there. I think the 4th one was pretty shitty, but otherwise the first 3 were pretty. I remember sneaking into Final Destination 2 and 3 in the theater. It was a great time, and my wife came with me and a couple friends who went and saw Final Destination Bloodlines last year. Just a great time. But the premise of that movie and that hot teen cast, and Devon Sawa, my sister loved Devon Sawa. I remember how fun that was, and it's that, not necessarily the last, but the last really solid entry from that post-Scream boom that really left a lasting impact. So I cannot have a 2000s horror movie list top 10 without Final Destination. Number 9, I'm going with a movie that, if I were to ever make a top 10 guilty pleasures horror films, this would definitively be on that, and that is Valentine. I know Valentine is a cheesy, corny slasher, a Scream ripoff. It was 2001, still part of that Scream boom. But the cast is fucking awesome. I really liked some of the kills in that movie. And Buffy the Vampire Slayer being one of my favorite television shows of all time. You gotta love David Boreanaz. You gotta love Angel as the killer. It's just a great fun time. I don't care what people have to say. I do have an extremely soft spot for Valentine from 2001. And then I'm going with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And I've talked about it before. I'm going to talk about it again. With TCM, that franchise not being near and dear to my heart, but that remake is epic on all proportions. Jessica Biel as Erin did a great job. Fantastic final girl performance. Leatherface is menacing and scary in that movie. It's a great wild time. Absolutely fantastic. Number 7, you got to give it to The Ring. That Japanese remake from that adaptation. I guess you have to consider it a remake from Ringu, or however you want to put it. But, I think it was 2002, The Ring. I didn't really understand it too much growing up as a kid, but when I watch it now as an adult, it still sends shivers down my spine. It's awesome. Now, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this film, because it's one film that I really don't think I've ever talked about on this channel, and that That's going to the original Saw. Just like Texas Chainsaw, just like Hellraiser, you know, there's something about Saw that movie was made for me. I was 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old when the original Saw came out. You would think I would be fucking obsessed. But that first Saw, epic. Absolutely fantastic. James Wan's performance, the way he delivered and directed that film to us and gave us this incredible franchise is... There's no denying that, especially the original Saw, is a masterpiece of horror. No denying that at all. I'm talking about how there's, for some reason, I've never really been emotionally attached to that franchise. I could care less whether they ever made a Saw 11. I went and saw Saw X just because I was like, oh, all right, cool, whatever. I think I've only seen half of the Saw movies in the theater. First one, snuck in. I was one of my first sneak-ins in 2004, was Saw. Saw 2 and Saw 3. Boom. And then I think the final chapter, I think Saw 7, and then 10 definitely, maybe Jigsaw or Spiral. I can't remember exactly, but it's mind-boggling because, like I said, that franchise, the movie of Saw, 2004, that franchise was groomed for me the way Friday or Elm Street was for my older brother. You know what I mean? He just growing up with it, getting to grow with those characters, and then John Kramer and Jigsaw and Billy the Puppet. But just something about it. It just has never been near and dear to my heart. I you know what I mean? The first 3 I really, really enjoy. I think they're all fun in some aspects, but I don't go back to the Saw franchise like I do everything else. And I don't know why, and judge me if you want, but there's just some people that just aren't into it. And for some reason, I've never been emotionally attached to that franchise, but it's on this list because there is no denying that the original Saw, which really launched James Wan into another stratosphere, is epic on all proportions and is immaculately fantastic. Enough said. Then we're going to go with a remake here, another remake, My Bloody Valentine 3D. Now, I just revisited My Bloody Valentine 3D for the first time in quite a few years, just this past Valentine's Day. Every year, the original is an every year rewatch for Valentine's Day. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. But I don't think I'd ever shown my wife the remake. And I'm like, look, honey, let's try it. It'd be fun for you. Come on, let's give it a whirl. And I found myself really, really enjoying it. And, you know, Jensen Ackles in there is great, and the cop in there, you know, who really was the killer, you know, and the way they didn't really recreate the story, but it just felt like it was told through a different lens, and some awesome kills. And Tom Atkins, you got to be a sucker for him. I really found myself really, really enjoying it, and that's why it made my list for the 2000s. I went and saw it in the theater, you know, in 2009. Really, really found myself enjoying it then, and then just kind of forgot about it, I guess. I just hadn't had the urge to rewatch it, and then I just said, "Fuck it, let's go for it," and it was great. I had a really good time, so it made my list for my top 10 favorites. And then we're gonna go with number 4 here. This is a little, I don't know if it's different or not, but The Others, 2001, The Others. It's just a fantastic story. The cinematography in that movie, you know, the twist ending, the ending really, really made it. Nicole Kidman gives a really, really good performance in that movie. The Others from 2001. Another horror film that when I first saw it when I was 9-10 years old, I didn't really understand it too much. I didn't really appreciate it for what it was worth. But looking back on it now, I appreciate a movie like The Others, like I do a movie like The Sixth Sense or Signs, so on and so forth, where I can really grasp onto the story and really, really enjoy it. Now, this is another one for number 3. You know, like I said, these aren't in any particular order. Like, again, they're randomized, just like the other lists. But number 3, I have to separate the art from the artist. Number 3, I'm giving it to Jeepers Creepers, the original Jeepers Creepers. We're not here to talk about Victor Salva. We're here to talk about the film Jeepers Creepers. And, you know, it's hard to ignore what that director and the creator, you know, of the Creeper and everything. It's hard to ignore all that stuff. But I can separate the art from the artist in this instance, when I can't deny that Jeepers Creepers is a freaky ass, crazy movie. Excuse me. That really the Creeper could have been, I really think, could have been on the level of, yeah, maybe not Freddie Michael or Jason, but he could have, like, the Creeper could have been easily a top 10 horror icon if it wasn't for the behind the scenes drama with the director and so on and so forth, and if the subsequent sequels were more solid. I really think that could have been something special, but it is what it is. But there's no denying that the original Jeepers Creepers is a pretty damn fun movie. And number 2, I gotta give it to the original Wrong Turn. Like, I don't know if this movie was inspired by The Hills Have Eyes or not, but it reminded me a lot of that as a kid. It still reminds me a lot of that today. A overall franchise that I could really care less about. I used to own all the movies individually, and then that's like the one bigger franchise that I'm like, fuck it. It's like Leprechaun. I just bought the box set with like the first 5. I didn't even bother to get 6. The remake was solid. But that original Wrong Turn, Eliza Dushku in there, that was pretty cool, you know. And some of that, like, wilderness setting kind of, some of that action you see in the beginning with the falling off the cliffs and this and that. And I don't remember the movie too well. It's not an every year kind of watch, but there is no denying that that's an epic movie too. And I bet it could have been a solid franchise if they kind of reeled it in from the beginning and didn't. They went all out on that first movie, and I think the rest of them were all VOD, and it is what it is, but the original Wrong Turn is fantastic. And like I said, that if you've never seen that reboot, I think it was 2021, I think. It was pretty fun. No arguments with that. Pretty cool. But this last one, my number 1 is definitely my number 1 for the 2000s. My definitive all-time favorite horror movie of the decade. And if you've been watching me for any length of time, if you know who I like, who I don't like, what I have talked about, you know what this movie is, and that is What Lies Beneath. Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, the spooky, ghostly elements to this movie are just off the fucking charts. Seeing Harrison Ford, a childhood hero of mine, along with everybody, you know what I mean? It was like, who was my hero growing up? The Red Power Ranger, Han Solo, Indiana Jones. Boom. You know what I mean? That's really what it was. And seeing Harrison Ford in a role like this, where he's definitively playing the bad guy and has that different side to him, it wasn't like The Fugitive or like Patriot Games or Indiana Jones or, you know, Star Wars. It was something so different. And the chemistry with Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie is just off the fucking chains. It's a long, deep rooted movie that I just, even as an 8-year-old kid watching this, I was like, whoa, oh my God. I didn't understand it too much, but I was spooked out and freaked out by it. Because Michelle Pfeiffer sold it. I mean, how freaked out she was and being in that house and not really knowing how her husband was really reacting and he was really behind a lot of this. It's just, What Lies Beneath is one of not only my favorite movie of the 2000s, it is definitively, if you've seen my all-time top 10 favorite horror movies, it is in my top 10. Nothing. I can't see anything ever knocking that out. Not just because Harrison Ford is my all-time favorite actor, but it's just because the way that that movie was presented is like that thrilling, horrific setting. All of it is just incredible. So if there had to be one movie on this list, if you've never seen any of them, the one movie I highly recommend you watch is What Lies Beneath. I can tell you one thing, if you are a physical media collector, that movie is not hard to find. When I go hunting, I see God knows how many copies of What Lies Beneath on DVD and Blu-ray, all VHS, everywhere. You can find it. Watch it. It is excellent. So that is going to wrap up this little mini series I had. Like I said, for now, I'm going to stop it here. I want to try to talk about some different things, try something different, and I'm going to get to the 2010s, that decade, and the 2020s. I'm going to get to those, but I want to think about it a little bit more. Haven't been getting a lot of good feedback on this. Maybe a lot of people are not getting the fact that I didn't include Freddy, Michael, Jason, Chucky, or Ghostface in these lists, because it would have been very, very difficult. I mean, maybe not for the 2000s. Maybe not for the 2000s, because, you know, Jason X was not making it on this list. Halloween Resurrection sure as hell was not making it on this list. Seed of Chucky was not making it on this list, so on and so forth. Scream 3 probably would have, but that's about it. So I'm happy I did this. This is something I have wanted to do for a while, so I'm happy that I'm leaving it at this, and we're gonna go on from here. I do have some other ideas, and it's going to be interesting as, you know, the winter is winding down. I don't see any snow in the forecast. I pray to God that as the seasons change over, you know, lots thawing out here quick. We've had some issues underground with some pipes and some leaks and everything. So I got to embrace this free time I have to make content and have fun and try to reach out to some new people. I mean, I've been doing this for about a little over 2 years now. And like I said, I haven't been able to do a video a week, or I've had to go multiple months at a time without being able to do anything. And there's a lot of really solid people that have been able to follow me through this, and I've got to take advantage of this time that I have where I want to have fun. And I'm getting close, almost at 900 subs. Maybe if we could hit 1,000 subs, that would be, for a little nobody channel like me, that would be fantastic. And I'd really like to do that, and I need to put the effort in, and I need to reach out to new people and come up with new, unique ideas, and maybe, just maybe, hint, hint, talk about things besides just horror. So keep that in the back of your mind. I have done some videos on other things I'm interested in, and we'll see where we go from there. But until next time, you all take it easy. We will see you soon. Peace out.